Hey guys, Gigsta12 here and welcome to my new series Bukkit Made Easy with Gigsta12. In this first episode I'll be showing you the basic layout of Bukkit, and in the second episode I'll be showing you how to install plugins on Bukkit. So let's go ahead here to the first set of folders, which is my arena world. In this arena world it is a PvP world, and this is my next world here, the MGC server, which is my main server, which is the main world I run my server off. So these are part of the same server, even though they're two worlds. I have a plugin which allows you to go through a portal and go to the next to arena, and then allows you to go back to the MGC server. So that's pretty cool. So next off we have Chunkster, which is an add-on I've added for chunk errors in the server. I'll create a video for that, which is pretty cool. It shouldn't be too hard to create once you understand how to use Chunkster and make Chunkster. So next off is data folder, which has nothing in it. I don't even know why I have it there. And next is the players folder. Now this folder logs every player that joins your server, so you can see how many players have ever joined your server, how many players you currently hold on your server, things like that. So next is the plugins folder. This folder is where you put all your plugins in, you edit all your plugins, stuff like that. Next is the regions folder. In this folder is basically where Bukkit uses to get region information about each server. So don't delete this folder, sorry, because this is definitely a folder that you need to keep for Bukkit. Next off is the banned IPs. Banned IPs text document is basically if you ban a IP on your server, in your server console, it will appear in this text document here as the IP address, and I'm not sure if it includes also the player's name. I'm not exactly sure, but this is where you can have a list of all the IP addresses you've banned. You can also pardon an IP address, so remove it, so they'll be able to rejoin your server. Best to ban IPs, not just ban the player's name, because if you ban just the player's name, they can rejoin your server again with a new account. But if you ban their IP, they can't join with a new account, which is pretty cool. Next off is the Bukkit YAML file. Now, best to open Bukkit YAML files with Notepad++. It opens a lot faster and is a nice neat layout, and is probably the best program for editing with Bukkit. So basically I'll put a link in the description to download Notepad++ if you don't have it already. So in this folder here is basically it gives you allow end, spawn radius, your permissions YAML file, which is this here. So it's basically if you wanted to change that, if you change that to ABC, you've got to change this to abc.yml. Pretty easy. Update folder, ping packet, things like that. Sorry, next is the opt players, which is like admin players on your server, players that you've opt. Now these are the players I've opt on my server: me, Gigsta12, XTC, and Tank. So they all have admin commands and me having owner commands. To opt a player, don't put their name in this text document. Like, write their name and save the text document. You make sure you only do it in your server console. So when you open this server console here and it's finished loading everything, you type in OP space and the player's name, and it will come up saying console opping such and such. So, and then their name will automatically appear in this text document here, which is pretty cool. Next is the server log file, which is a text document, but best to open this in Notepad++ for two reasons. One, opens a lot faster in Notepad++, and it opens it in a nice, neat layout. So if I was to open it in a text, in a normal Notepad, it would probably come up not responding up top. Yep, it would take an age for it to load. But if I was to open it in just normal Notepad, you just bang open, nice, neat, easy layout. You can see the date, information, preparing spawn area, all that kind of stuff on your console. No lag, which is quite nice. If I was to go back to the just the normal Notepad, it just takes an age. Quite large font. You can change font size if you want. You got to scroll across. Not a nice, easy layout. You don't have like the date across here and each individual log. It lags heaps when you scroll. So yeah, as I said, open that in Notepad++, which is a server log. These two files are also part of this server log file here, how it gets its information from. Next off is probably your most edited file in Bukkit apart from your plugins, the server properties file, or also known as server.properties file. In this file you can choose whether you want a nether. If you don't want a nether, make sure you write false with no spaces in between the equals and the next letter. Level name is basically if I wanted to change and make everyone spawn in the arena world and do editing on my MGC server world, then you just change this to arena and save this, making sure your server console is closed so your server is not running. And then you can close this and open your server console and everyone will spawn in arena now, which is pretty cool. But I'd prefer everyone to spawn in MGC server because that's where I have a spawn. Enable query is basically for GameSpy protocol to get information about your server. So leave that as false because they don't really need to get information about your server. I don't think you'd really want them to either. Next is allow flight. So basically for flight on your server, if you wanted people to fly around your server, which you may want, you can do that. You put that as true. If you don't want, put it as false. But if you have it as true, it gives griefers a lot more access to grief houses because they're able to get on top of buildings, fly around, get from place to place, get away from the area a lot faster, stuff like that. Also, if you have it as false, you as an admin or you as an owner can still fly around. If you go into creative mode, you can put yourself into creative mode, which is pretty cool, and then you can fly around. Server port is basically this is the default server port number, 25565. If you wanted to change it to 25566, then you've got to change it to 25566 on your modem. I'd like to leave it as 25565. Also, 25565 is not your special number for only those people to join your server. That's just how your modem knows to go to this program, and this is the program that for people to join and play Minecraft off. This is the server to go to. Level type is basically like single player, to change your terrain, stuff like that. Enable recon is basically remote access to your server console. I don't even know really why you need to have that as true, because as you can see, I'm on the computer with the server. There's no need to have a remote access to the server console, so leave that as false really. I don't even know how to do it. Level seed is basically if you wanted to create a brand new server, so to create a brand new world, for instance, you just create a brand new world name that you don't already have up here, and then you put in the level seed that you want, the type of level seed. So if you had a specific level seed that you liked, then you put that there and it will create that world in that type of level seed for you. Server IP, you leave that as blank if you're playing on the World Wide Web. You only put a server IP like 192.168.0. whatever if you're wanting someone to if you're playing on a HOC network, sorry. If you do not know how to do that, you can message me and I'll create a video on how to do that. That's only if I have enough people. If it's only one person, not really a point to creating a video on that. So message me if you don't understand how to do that. I'll try to make it as simple as possible, because it is really quite easy. Spawn NPCs is basically mob spawning. If you wanted mobs to spawn on your server, you have that as true. If you didn't, have that as false. A whitelist, for those who don't know what a whitelist is, it is basically a list that you have to put their Minecraft names in this specific folder here, down here. You have to put their names in there. Say if it was hello, for instance, and then they will be allowed to join your server. That's only if you have whitelist as true. If you had it as false, then anyone can join your server, as long as they have your server address. So next is spawn animals. If you wanted only animals to spawn, if you didn't, you have that as. If you didn't want animals to spawn, you'd have that as false. Online mode, if you wanted to play on the World Wide Web, have that as true. If you didn't, and you wanted to play just on a HOC network, for instance, just with some group of friends or something, have that as false. PvP is basically players versus player, which is you hit someone, they lose health. You can have that as true if you want to hit people. You have that as false if you don't. You can also have an extra plugin that controls it for different worlds, so that's pretty cool. Difficulty is basically the difficulty you want on your server altogether, so whether you want it easy, normal, hardened, peaceful, that kind of a thing. 1 being easy, 2 being normal, 3 being hardened, 0 being peaceful. Server name is basically what you want to call your server. I don't exactly know what that's for. You can have a look if you're not exactly sure by searching on Google server.properties, and it will bring up a wiki page which gives you all the latest information about it. Game mode is basically the game mode of your server, whether you wanted everyone to be on a survival, which is 0, or everyone to be creative, which is 1. Max players is how many players you want on your server. Mine is 60. The more you have, the more lag. Spawn animals is basically if you want spawn monsters, sorry, is basically if you wanted monsters to spawn on your server. I do have that as true. If you don't, have that as false. View distance is basically far, what is it? Normal, tiny, small, that kind of a thing. Your default is 10, but you can have it as 8 if it lags, 7, but don't preferably go below 6. Get a new computer really, because your computer can't handle the server. MOTD is basically a message given on your server just before people join your server. So that's basically it for server properties. And WEPIF is just a file that you don't need to edit. This green information tells you about what each file means, so read that if you don't understand. I already went through whitelist, which is basically you put their names in the whitelist so for them to join your server. So that's it for Bukkit Made Easy with Gigsta12. Please rate, subscribe, like, comment. Please comment if you want me to do a specific type of plugin. And that's basically it. Thanks.